What's up, everyone? Rayamo here with another anime review. This is going to be on Rewrite's third episode or episode 16, depending on how you want to structure the episodes. And if you can't tell from my voice and how non-enthusiastic I am, it's because this episode of Rewrite literally has me feeling down. And oh my god, this episode! From as a visual novel player and having to see like the scenes here, animated, it just made the impact a whole lot meaningful, and the depression just came surging right back in. Because I remember I played the Moon Route or Route or whatever you want to call it on on the first time, the visual novel. And when I got to this ending scene, it just killed me inside. Oh my god. And the anime did a good job for making me feel the same way that I did when I was first reading through the route or route, whatever. And oh my god, it's just hard to formulate words right now. So let me just get the review done, then I can go and murk in my loneliness or watch something hilarious. Okay, so this episode of Rewrite is the conclusion of the Moon arc of the visual novel and of the anime and of the second season. It was basically the culmination of everything that we've learned so far in the first two episodes of the second season, with all the information, info dumps and all of that, and the revelations about what's going to happen. And this episode is the conclusion of all that build up, and we get the big fight scene, the big conclusion to this arc. And I'm like struggling to find words because I'm like so depressed, and I didn't even want to do the review in the first place because I was feeling so down. I was just like, no, I gotta do the review, no matter how down I may be feeling. And so this episode did really, really well in getting me to feel like, oh, all right. So I'm going to assume that you've watched the episode already, and so I'm going to give out spoilers. So when everyone basically starts dying, we get to see their thoughts and how they're going to feel of what they're going to do when they're dying. So they're all dying, and they're basically all remembering the different they're basically the end of their routes in the visual novel, and from the branch worlds, the happy ending that they got with Kotaro, and they're basically all remembering and kind of like thinking about it, and so especially the scene with Shizu where she says she wants it to continue with Kotaro, but then she says no, that she's going to protect Kagari, because we all know what she really wants. If you read the visual novel, you exactly know what she's referencing, and to see all the characters remembering what happened at the very end, it just made things a whole lot sadder. Because I don't think that happened in the visual novel. I think from the visual novel we got the description of Kotaro saying who went down first and all that, because he's kind of all-seeing in this world because of how he interacted with the theory. So he basically has like a bird's eye view of everything that's going on. And the deaths were structured differently than in the visual novel, because in the visual novel Kotori and Chihaya were on the hill, and I think Chihaya is the last to go down, I think, in the visual novel, and that's when and Sakia appeared a couple minutes before she died, but in this one he appeared moments after she died, and I think that death is what pisses Kotaro off a lot in the visual novel, because he's right there and yet he couldn't save them. And this one, he's still depressed and all that, but then we get to see the the slight character development of Sakya. In the first season and in the second season right now, we don't really see a lot of character development from him. But in the visual novel, there's so much character development, especially in the Chihaya route. We learn so much about him, and that basically is essentially glossed over. We get to see some stuff about him saying why Kotaro is his fate. Kotaro and him are essentially the same. They have the same powers and the same abilities, and the paths they're taking are slightly the same. And you'll understand why I'm saying they're so similar. If you won't understand if you haven't played the visual novel, but the thing is, it was just awesome just to see the entire scene, to know if they put in the simulation scene where Kotaro uses his aurora to simulate the theory, and everyone else just like ends up killing most of humanity, like before humanity even springs up. But Akane gets it right, and then we get to see that salvation happens every time humanity gets too big or something like that. The strange reason why it hasn't, why humanity, I guess, in the first season wasn't killed off so early, though there have been multiple salvations, is that Guardian was probably formed as of now, and where managed to probably successfully kill. I can't remember exactly, but from all that, it points towards that. And the ending of and basically the interactions of Kotaro and Yoshino, you learn more about in the common route in the visual novel about Yoshino and the their rivalry friendship thing, that it goes beyond that. And seeing this episode basically do that, that little thing where the goodbye my brother, I'll see you in the next life, it just killed me a bit inside. And they make it these scenes of everyone, oh my god, yeah, I teared up. I admit. I honestly have to admit, during the scenes where everyone was basically dying, I teared up. And in the ending, I was still like wet, watery eyes. Gotta blame it on the allergies. But no, but seriously, I did tear up during the scenes where everyone was dying and during the final fight. And we get to see that Kotaro does indeed use his rewrite ability in this episode. In the finale, where he goes basically, it was just him and Sakuya. Sakuya basically pulls all the different branch world versions of himself to be there, eliminating any possibility of them being there, in the next world. And so basically what this means is that he's the strongest as he has been. He gets that giant form we see at the end of season 1, which I'm guessing is why they decided to include that for some reason. And we don't get to see basically the giant form fight, but we get to see beforehand of how powerful Sakuya is, setting like sonic booms, you want to call it sonic booms, and destroying like the air base monsters. Someone had to correct me that the translation was decided to change it to familiar because it wasn't as negative as monster. So that's interesting. You see how I want to see how the official translation handles it. But the thing, oh my god. And we get to see Kotaro go his berserk form and take on all the monsters while he's getting freaking eaten alive. Now in the visual novel, this scene was slightly different. What happens is that Kotaro, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what happened in the visual novel, but I do remember that I don't think he used his rewrite ability to do that. I think he's just so in tune to fighting that he becomes essentially a fighting machine, but he still gets wrecked because he's just one person. He's using the Aurora Blade, and his right arm is the only Aurora Blade. So basically, in order to cut that out into basically lessen to fit everything into a 24 minute time slot. They decided to go over him rewriting himself into a beast, and basically you get the whole gist of it. He absolutely wrecks but still gets owned. But I think it changes things from how he had to rely on that rewrite ability, while in the visual novel it's all of his accumulated experience basically going toe to toe with all those familiars, and still losing. And I think the impact of the fights in Kotaro's final stand was a lot more impactful, instead of him just going berserk. Was basically you get to see everything that's happening to him. He gets so badly hurt, and he's in full control, and he's struggling desperately to protect Kagari from all the familiars. And that, yeah, a bunch of them really do get past him. And he basically frantically fights back to get back to the center, because there's so many monsters. I'm going to start using the term monsters now, unless they change it on later on. And it shows how that carelessness of his having to go protect something is his downfall, as he gets absolutely wrecked. He loses his side, he loses his ear, he loses a bunch of stuff, and then he loses his right arm, and he just gets absolutely wrecked. But it's still the same connotation. It's just different ways of doing the scene. I understand, though. It would be nice if they when they released the Blu-rays, they had a slightly longer version of it, with him instead of doing him rewriting himself into a beast. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen because time constraints. They might fix the animation and stuff, and maybe they have some deleted scenes. But overall, I think this episode did conclude on a really, really good note. I had the feels. I wasn't expecting to feel the feels because it's the anime adaptation, but I felt the feels when all the key scenes that made me feel the feels in the visual novel popped up. So I think it did a really good job. If you were a visual novel player, you weren't as ass-hatty and very into snobbish. It doesn't follow the visual novel exactly. How could you get the feels, but it doesn't properly explain everything? Oh my god. Okay, so I'm breaking out of the depression now. Just thinking about all the elitist visual novel snobs who said this episode is terrible. Everything about it, every anime adaptation of a visual novel is terrible. Yeah, so I'm getting slightly pissed off now. So I'm about to end this review on a high note. This episode was very, very good. I definitely think that it's not one of the craziest strong episodes, but basically there's action in here. There's less info dumps. The first two episodes were a bunch of info dumps, so it's basically good to see all that build up end off in a very high note. That's what I'm trying to say. And the ending song, I think it was Journey or whatever. Oh my god, I remember watching that scene. Basically, in the visual novel, it's the ending scene. So instead of just where you click, 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 and the text scrolls by, you do auto read. It's basically a cutscene, with text upon it with voices, and oh my god, it just gets me depressed having to see and go and finish Terra. I remember reading Terra for the first time and just being absolutely depressed because of how dark it is. So now we're going into the darkest route of Rewrite, which is going to be Terra. Now, when I say dark, it's very, very dark. Right? We get to see a different side of Kotaro that we never got to see. And the comment that Kotori made, I think in the first episode, when she says that he wasn't nice at all, it's going to definitely play into Terra. Now, there are some talks of them doing the Rewrite Plus version, which changes the ending to make it less depressing. Now, I haven't, I don't know Japanese, so I haven't read the Rewrite Plus ending. But I do think that if they do decide to do, they should probably change things up and maybe go for a different ending. As I read a synopsis of what happens in the Rewrite Plus ending, and I think it does, and the many key different scenes they change, and I really hope they don't do that because I think some of the scenes from the original visual novel and not in Plus that they got replaced in Plus, I think it had a lot more of that cool impact when you get to the end of the journey. So now I think this is like the first Rewrite episode that has went over episode review that went over 10, that has gone into 10 minutes or higher. So that I'm excited to see what I can talk about when the Terra arc starts next week. So hopefully we'll get more long videos or not. So that's about it for my review. I really enjoyed this episode. It gave me a lot of feels. So I'm about to sign off on a very high note before I get depressed again, is that I'm going to go and watch other reviews and see what their thoughts and their opinions are on the episode, just to self-validate my depression and get off my depression. See, I like seeing a lot of people's different views if it's backed by information and backed by what's happening in the episode, instead of visual novel is the best, anime is bad. Okay, that hurt my voice trying to do that. I have a sore throat now. But anyways, I'm Ryan here. What do you think of the review and of the episode in general? Leave a comment down below if you want to talk about the episode, just want to clarify some things, or just want to have a discussion about it. It also shows support for the channel to know that there are people actively commenting and watching this video thoroughly, instead of just clicking on it. Oh, this guy's voice is annoying, let me just click out. Or he doesn't have a face cam. I'm not that attractive. I don't have a good enough camera to record. I don't want everything looking like it's in 128p or whatever. So, in further ado, show the support for the channel, but also subscribe me if you haven't already. And also, if you subscribed or you're going to subscribe, remember to click that little bell next to the subscribe or soon to be clicked subscribed button, as it basically gives you notifications whenever I upload a video. YouTube automatically disabled that, which is unfortunate. But just click the little bell. It just takes like a second or two. And if you haven't been already, also share this video and follow me on Twitter if you haven't. I do post channel updates on there. I talk about anime or what's going on with the reviews and all that, etc., etc., etc. And so that's about it. Wow. Okay. So Ryan here. I'll be seeing you all on the next video. Peace out.